Hey, second grade families, it's Mrs. Kasperzik. It's Monday, April 20th, 2020. This is a review of Lesson 5 for everyone who was not able to catch up with us this morning. I appreciate everyone's flexibility. If you were not able to make it, I apologize. That is hopefully going to be a one-time only thing. Where we had to move the lesson earlier in the day, but for the rest of the week, we will be learning at 2 o'clock. So thank you for your patience. We're going to go ahead and take a look at today's agenda. We're going to bypass those Zoom expectations, but I do expect if you are watching this right now, you are seated in an area where you are going to be able to focus. You also should probably have something to write with as well. We're going to go ahead and review problem set number 5 because going back, and I'll touch more on this in a moment, I noticed that there are a lot of difficulties with that. We're going to go back through Mrs. K's problem of the day, which reflects mostly on learning that happened with problem set 5 and the topics in that. I will introduce exit ticket number 5, which I will leave open later than midnight tonight to give everyone the opportunity to take that. We'll review the assignments that are coming up and that are due on Wednesday. We're going to take a look at the week's schedule. And then if you have any questions for me, I will have office hours tomorrow morning from 9 to 10. So before we begin, you should have a paper and pencil, something to write with, and a positive mindset, keeping in mind that we are all working together here and we're all doing a whole lot of stuff that, not a whole lot of us have done before. So we're kind of learning as we go. So talking about learning as we go. Problem set number 5 was the Google side problem set, and it was a lot. And I could tell either from Dojo messages or from work that was submitted that it was challenging. We tried something new. It didn't necessarily work out for all of us. So we're going to take the lessons we learned from that, and we are going to today review the concepts and vocabulary from this lesson as a class. And the reason I want to do that is because this is a new curriculum. This is a curriculum that I have never taught with before, and we're kind of starting almost at the tail end of it. This problem set assumes that we know a lot of vocabulary that we've never touched on because we've never used this style of curriculum. So we're going to go back today. We're going to talk about what arrays, rows, and columns are. And also, it's a lot harder to have the same impact when I'm here in my house and you guys are at home, right? When I'm in the classroom, I could sit there and kind of stand with you and say, hey, this is what you need to do. And I can only do so much here from my computer. So while I may have grand ideas over here at my computer, it may not translate to your house very well. So we're going to be flexible and we're going to just go back today and review. So by the end of the class today, you're going to be able to identify the number of rows and columns shown in a given array. And you're also going to be able to look at the number of objects in a row and the number of objects in a column. This graphic here is super important, and we're going to get into why here in a moment. So what is an array? An array is a set of objects or numbers arranged in an order, often in rows that go across or columns that go up and down. So if I look at this array here, I see that there are 1, 2, 3 rows, and I see that these objects, these circles, have been arranged into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns. Arrays help to make counting so much easier, and I'm going to give you an example of that here in 1 minute. So where do we see arrays? Arrays are all over, whether you realize it or not. Eggs in an egg carton, for example, are arranged in an array because I see here that I have 2 rows, and in each row there's an equal number of eggs. If I look at this set of Legos here, I see that these dots, these little pegs for the Lego, have been arranged into an array where you have groups of objects that have been arranged in these nice, neat rows and columns. Books of stamps are arranged into an array. Something that I have in my house that I picked up this morning when I was doing the wash was a muffin tray that I had used previously. When you look at how the circles in a muffin tray are arranged, they're arranged in these nice, neat arrays of orderly objects, or circles in that case. This was an array. This was a pizza that my family had the night before from Lido's, and it was arranged into equal slices in rows and columns, but not so much anymore because we ate from it. So, getting back to why they make counting and calculating easier. Both of these show 10 objects. Both of these show 10 circles. When I go to a drawing like this, I have to go and singularly count. Go, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It takes a little longer, and it also isn't necessarily going to guarantee. Sometimes you know how you skip over numbers or you double count. It's not as easy to count. Whereas over here, I can immediately identify that, oh, in this column here, I have 2 objects, and they all have 2 objects in each of the columns. So I can just skip count by 2s here. I can go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That was so much quicker because everything was organized. Now, getting back to our vocabulary, arrays are arranged into rows and columns. A row is a group of objects going across in a line. When I think about rows, I think about when you row a boat, you take your paddles and you go side to side or across your boat. So when you're looking at an array, a straight line of objects going across the screen is a row. So I can count that there's 1, 2, 3, 4 rows here. Now, when I go down here to columns, when I think of columns, I think of those tall pillars on a building because that's a column. Well, when you look at an array, columns are groups of objects that are arranged going up and down in a straight line. So this has 1, 2, 3, 4 columns in this array. So this morning we looked at different sets of arrays, and we talked about how many rows are in each array, how many columns, and then we also looked at the number of objects. So this was actually an array from problem set number 5. So when I look at this problem set, I'm going to first of all look at how many rows are in this array. Remember, I like to sing the song Row, Row, Row Your Boat because you're thinking about bringing your paddle across the boat. Row, row, row your boat. So here's 1 row. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab my scribble tool here. And this is 1 row here, 2 rows here, 3 rows here, 4 rows here, and then 5 rows here. So in all, I have 5 rows of 2. So my next question is, how many circles are in each row? Well, if I look in each of these rows, I have 2 circles in each of those rows. So I can skip count by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. In all, there are 10 circles in this array. So how many rows are there? 5. How many circles are in each row? 2. Next, I'm going to flip the question. And I'm going to ask, if I can get this guy to move, how many columns are in this array? Remember, columns are the straight, tall pillars that go up and down. So I am looking for a straight line of objects going up and down when I'm looking for columns. So I'm going to go ahead and click on my scribble tool again. I'm going to pick a different color so it's easier to differentiate between rows and columns. And here I have 1 column of circles. I'm going to change that here to red. And then I have a second column of circles. So how many columns are in this array? There are, I'm sorry, not 5. There are 2 columns, 1, 2. Next, I'm going to count how many circles are in each column. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's make sure that that's the same in the second column. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 5 circles in each column. So now I know if I have 5 plus 5, that equals 10. Both of these are ways to count to 10. So again, counting rows and columns. How many rows are in this array? How many fish are in each row? Go ahead and hit pause, and I want you to try it on your own. All right, so when I click on my scribble tool here, to count my rows, remember I'm going across. So I have 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows, 4 rows, and 5 rows. I have 5 rows of fish in this array. How many fish are in each row? Well, I can very easily count because I know they all have equal groups of fish each row. Each row has 3 fish. So I'm going to count by threes 5 times to find the total. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 total fish. How many fish are in each row? 3. If I have 5 groups of 3, I have 15. The flip of that question is how many columns are in this array? Again, columns go straight up and down. 1, 2, and 3 columns. Now, when I go to count the fish in each column, I'm going to count, it should be the same number of fish in each column because it's arranged in an array. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fish. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fish in this column, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fish in this column. So if I have 3 groups of 5, I have a total of 15. I can count 5, 10, 15. We're going to go ahead and skip that one. So for Mrs. K problem of the day, I wanted students to go ahead and to take a group of Cheerios and to arrange them into an array. And then I asked them to draw a picture to show how I could arrange them into an array. So go ahead, hit pause, and try your best to arrange these Cheerios into an array. When you're ready, go ahead and click play. So one of the ways that we came up with this morning is, first of all, you have to count how many Cheerios you have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Cheerios. So we want to take 8 Cheerios or 8 circles and make them into equal groups in columns and rows. So one of the things you can do is you can take groups of 2 like this, and then you can repeat them. So I have 2, I have 4, I now have 6, and I now have, hopefully soon, 8. So one way that I could arrange them is into two columns or 4 rows. In each column, there are 4 Cheerios. So I could count 4 plus 4 equals 8. Or I could count by 2 4 times. 2, 4, 6, 8. Another way that I could show this is I could arrange them. We talked about we could flip it on its side. So I could take those same Cheerios and I could arrange them into groups of 2. But instead of putting them into 2 columns, I could make them into 2 rows. And in each row, I'm going to have 4 Cheerios. So now I have 2 rows, and in each of those rows, I have 4 Cheerios. So 4 plus 4 equals 8. Or I could look at it as I have 4 columns of 2. 2, 4, 6, 8. Your exit ticket is available in MyMCPS. And if you need to go back and look at those directions, they are on the slides from today. I will extend the exit ticket for now. Please make sure that you watch the Wednesday video link, you complete the problem set, you input your answers into MyMCPS, and you complete Wednesday's discussion. All of that is due Wednesday, April 22nd at 2 p.m. If you are finished early, go ahead and go on Zearn. Specials lessons have also been released for the week that are available on MyMCPS as well. Tomorrow, I will have office hours from 9 to 10 in the morning. You can send me an email or dojo message. Please make sure that you complete week 2's ELA task from the Oregon Trail. You will have music office hours available, and we'll have our live ELA lesson on Zoom. Thanks for turning in.